Hi, you guys. It's Yaz. And today I'm going to talk about something that maybe a lot of people don't realize. When I'm thinking about what to podcast on, I was thinking about, all the different topics that we talk about in narcissism and to really understand the narcissist. But one of the things that I came to realize, and I kind of talked about it in one of my older podcasts, is that the narcissist was never, ever yours, okay? This is a hard realization for a lot of people, okay? Because they see the narcissist one way, and then for me to sit there and say, well, the narcissist was never yours. A lot of people can't see that, but that's the truth. And I'm going to explain why that is. Because when you got involved with the narcissist, they were emotionally unavailable, okay? They could have been emotionally unavailable for a lot of different reasons. Number one, they could have still been attached to their exes. If you were the new supply, you may have thought they were single when they really weren't single, and they were still, talking to their ex. Maybe they were on a break. Maybe they broke up with their ex, but they were still hoovering their ex, trying to get back with their ex. So they were never, ever fully single and emotionally open to being with you, okay? They were never, ever all in. And I did a podcast about this, about how narcissists are never all in. So you're sitting there and you're grieving somebody that may have discarded you or you discarded them. But what you have to realize is that you never had them. You never had this person. You may have thought that you had them, but you never, ever had that full commitment, that full, submission by the narcissist to be completely in the relationship with you. Narcissists put on a good act. They pretend that they're all in when they're really not, okay? They flood your phone with texts. They give you plenty of attention. But deep down, the narcissist knows that they're not all in. They're not all in. They're always have other things going on in their lives. Not only that, when you meet a narcissist, they're never, ever emotionally, alone and ready to connect with you. And it doesn't necessarily mean that they're even connected with their exes. It could be another party. It could be a family member. It could be a homegirl, a homeboy, a friend. It could be a situationship somewhere. So it's always when you start the relationship, there's a triangulation somewhere, okay? And you didn't realize that. You thought the narcissist came into the relationship. They came in as your soulmate. They came in as this angel of light. They told you everything you wanted to hear. And so many people believe everything they hear. And you went with it because it felt good. It felt good. And you thought that you were dealing with an authentic type of person when in fact you were dealing with somebody who was a con artist. They were a con artist. Now the other scenario is the narcissist may have been lusting after you, okay? But lust is a completely different thing than somebody going in, trying to get to know you and falling in love. The narcissist didn't love you. They may have lusted you, may have built you up in their mind in a fantasy that you were something that you never were. Because narcissists, they build up fantasies in their mind as well. And then as time goes by, they get to know you and they realize, hey, you're not what they thought you were, okay? Not by any fault of your own, but because the narcissist built you up to be something that you weren't, okay? Because you're not allowed to have any kind of flaws or imperfections when you're dealing with a narcissist, because the minute they see things they don't like about you, they automatically hate everything about you. They have black and white thinking, which means that the minute they see something they don't like about you, maybe they see the way you clean the house, maybe they see the way you cook, maybe they see the way you do your hair or the way you dress. The minute they see something that they don't like about you, you're automatically on the ban list, okay? You're automatically on the ban list. Now they have a deep hatred for you because of one thing that they don't like about you. So the bottom line is this. Don't ever grieve a narcissist, because the narcissist was never yours. They either were still connected to somebody when they got involved with you, or, the other thing too is narcissists don't love, all right, the way people think they love. Like somebody came up to me and they said, when will the narcissist find their true love? Well, the narcissist is not looking for true love. Regardless of what they're telling you, they're not looking for true love. They're looking, the narcissist puts their value on things of this world. They, money, the flesh, things of status, things that make them look good, how they're perceived by other people. They're, hyper-focused on their ego and feeding their ego, anything that feeds their ego and makes them feel good. That's what a narcissist is focused on. They're not focused on, putting all their eggs in one basket, getting involved with you, and never ever having any other supply. That's not the narcissist, you guys. But they fooled you because they told you that, all right? They told you that that's what they wanted, when in fact, they really didn't want it. And you don't see this till after you're in. It's very hard because when you get involved with a narcissist, unless you've had a lot of life experience and you've dealt with a lot of different people and you're able to size up people, people go with it and then they say to themselves, it feels good. I'm just going to see where this goes. And so what happens is it feels good. Here's somebody who's flattering you, who's there for you, maybe doing favors for you in the beginning. This person is making you feel good. That's what they're doing. They're making you feel good. So who really wants to throw that away, right? Not many people have the strength to throw it away. But here's what I have to tell you. That narcissist gets involved with you, but they're not all in. They're not all in because, and here's the other thing that I want to bring up, especially when you're dealing with a covert narcissist is always guarded, always guarded. They will never let you in, never. It's a survival tactic on the part of the covert narcissist. So you will never, ever feel connected, completely connected to them. This is why they don't like intimacy. They don't want to get too close with you because then there's a possibility of their feelings getting involved and them getting hurt. And they don't ever want to get hurt, okay? So somebody else came to me and they said, well, do narcissists have feelings? Yeah, they have feelings. But what they do is they suppress that. How do I know? Because the covert narcissists, I've been surrounded by covert narcissists, and each one that I knew, they always suppressed, feelings of pain or feelings of getting too close, okay? And they do it to protect themselves because they don't want to get hurt. So the bottom line is this. Where do you think you're going to go with somebody who's guarded or somebody who has a connection to somebody else, the triangulation? You're not going to go anywhere because that narcissist is never, ever going to be fully in the relationship. So the narcissist was never yours. And this is why the narcissist could leave you so coldly, because they never were all in. They never were all in. Listen to me when I tell you, if you're dealing with the covert narcissist, they were talking to other people that you don't even know about. They were inboxing people. They may have been meeting other people. They live secret lives. I talked about this years ago, how narcissists have secret lives. So you didn't even know when you're at work, that's when they're out there and they're playing. They're either on social media talking to people, or they're contacting their exes, or, they're still in contact with an ex or somebody else. Okay. So they never were all in. And that's why it's much when you're not all in, it's a lot easier to leave somebody than when you put your heart on your sleeve. And that's what victims do. They put their heart on their sleeve. I remember when I was involved with the narcissist, one of my guy friends said to me, stop wearing your heart on your sleeve. Stop wearing your heart on your sleeve, because he knew what this guy was about. And that's why he was like, stop wearing your heart on your sleeve. In other words, don't waste your time sweating this guy because he's not worth your time. He's not all in. So this is what I have to say to you. If the narcissist if they're not all in, if their heart is not on the sleeve like the way yours is, That's why they could leave you so coldly. And people have a hard time with this because they remember how loving that narcissist was. Well, they know that they have to be loving. They know they have to be loving in order to get supply. And like, this is incomprehensible to a lot of people because they say, well, why do they even bother? Why do they stay in a relationship if they're really not into the person? Because you're offering something to that narcissist, all right? Could be sex, money, place to live, or just attention. They love the attention that you're giving them. That's supply. There's a lot of different ways people offer supply to a narcissist. So you've got to take that into consideration. So that's why the narcissist could leave you so coldly. The thing is, you went into it and you were blindsided. You were blindsided. And that's where the narcissist wasn't blindsided, because the narcissist knew what they were doing. They knew they weren't all in. But again, they have to pretend to be all in order to fool you. Because if they showed you that they really weren't all in, you would have left them a long time ago, right? You wouldn't have got your heart all into it if you thought that they were talking to other people or they had a triangulation somewhere else with somebody else. And the triangulation doesn't necessarily have to be a romantic interest. The triangulation could be family. And that's what I dealt with, okay? The triangulation could be a toxic mother, a toxic father of theirs, a toxic sister, a toxic brother. And these people are troublemakers in your relationship. That's why I always say you've got to look at the family. If a narcissist is close with their family, they're going to have an impact on that narcissist and how that narcissist treats you. They're going to be the voice behind the narcissist. They're going to be the validation behind the narcissist. They're going to be the one pumping up that narcissist and giving that narcissist strength. When that narcissist is coming at you full force, it's because these people are giving them that strength. Not only that, what they do is, let's say they have a toxic mother, right? Let's say she's a covert narcissistic mother, all right? This is what I went through. A covert narcissistic mother-in-law who, groomed her son to never trust, to never be all in, because, you can't trust people because they're very cultish. The narcissistic family is very cultish, so they're not going to trust outsiders that their sons or daughters get married to. So you'll always feel a distance. You'll never feel like you're connected to that person. Why? Because their loyalty is to their toxic families. That's why. So the end result is they're in a relationship with you. They may like you in the beginning and everything, but they're not all in. And they have somebody in their ear telling them not to be vulnerable with you, not to open up to you. So that person was never all in. That's a situation of family. Or if it's a romantic relationship, they may not be all in because they're connected to an ex or they're connected to somebody else that they're still seeing on the side. Now, I want to bring up something else, okay, because of a lot of the misinformation. When a narcissist discards you, or it's a reverse discard, okay, the narcissist doesn't just, like I see a lot of videos out there where they say, after the discard, what does the narcissist do? Oh, they scramble and they jump into another relationship. And that is untrue, because the narcissist had that relationship before the relationship broke down, okay? The minute that narcissist ran cold on you in the relationship, or they devalued you, you can trust and believe is when they were talking to somebody else or had somebody else. That's why they were being cold to you, because they had somebody else, okay? They didn't just discard you or you discarded them and, they scrambled and found somebody. No, they had that person, you guys. They would never, ever, ever, listen to me when I tell you this. I've lived a lot of life. I've been around a lot of narcissists. A narcissist will never, ever discard you unless they have somebody lined up, okay? Never. They never want to be alone. So they didn't just discard and then they, after the discard, you discarded them and then now, they're scrambling to find somebody. No, they have somebody. And they had somebody either during the tail end of the relationship breaking up with you or during the whole time they were with you. This is another hard pill to swallow because a lot of times the narcissist had somebody the whole time they were with you. Now imagine that. Imagine thinking that you really loved this person, you cared about this person, you were in a relationship with them, and imagine finding out that they had somebody the whole time, all right? That is a devastating blow to survivors. Devastating, okay? Because you're blindsided. You can't believe when somebody's sitting there telling you how much they love you and everything like that. You can't believe that they have this secret life with somebody else, somewhere else. But narcissists are extremely, extremely good actors and actresses, okay? They're con men, con women, all right? So that's why you have to study the behaviors of the narcissist, and you will be able to spot when you're not dealing with a real one. You will be able to spot when you're not dealing with a real one. Years ago, I did a podcast about how to spot a real one. So if you can go back on either my podcast or on my YouTube, it might be on there, how to find the real one. I talked about signs you're dealing with a real one, okay? So you have to be aware of these signs when you get involved with someone, because the minute that you see something is not right is the minute that you have to trust your gut and say, no, not today, Satan. There's something up with this person. The minute they run hot and cold, the minute they're unaffectionate or something doesn't seem right or they make excuses why they don't want to see you, that's when you have to say, they're telling me they love me. Well, if they love me so much, why are they always making excuses why they can't see me? Well, the truth is they're making excuses why they can't see you because they're actually seeing another supply, all right? So, you guys, I hate to tell you, but 99% of the time, you never had that narcissist. They were never all in. And guess what, though? Guess what? They'll never be all in with anybody. And I did a reel about this where I spoke about the new supply will not be the last supply, okay? The new supply is just a stepping stone to the next supply, to the next supply, to the next supply. And even though they have a new supply, they will have a backup to that new supply because this is how narcissists operate, okay? They always need, more than one. They always need more than one because they're not going to put their eggs all in one basket. They're not going to do that and end up on the short end of the stick. Let's say they did that. Let's say the narcissist put all their eggs in one basket and they were all in with you. Let's just say this hypothetically, right? Let's say that you ended up cheating on them. Now, we know you're not that type of person, but the narcissist thinks you are. And let's say the narcissist gets involved with another narcissist who will try to play them. What's going to happen at that point? The narcissist gets played, and what's going to happen? That narcissist is going to have a narcissistic collapse like no other. Why? Because they don't have anybody else in the wings, okay? They will be completely, completely devastated. More devastated than you would ever be. More devastated than you would ever be because the narcissist is weak, they're insecure, they're cowards. Okay, don't be fooled by that fake persona, that they put on in front of other people. They're very fragile, insecure, weak people and cowardly people, especially the covert narcissists. They're cowards. So they will never take that chance. Never take that chance of being in a position like that where they get hurt. So what does that tell you? That tells you that the narcissist was never all in and the narcissist was never yours, okay? So don't ever mourn somebody who was never yours. Never yours, okay? You never had that narcissist. Never. You never had that narcissist, all right? So don't mourn somebody that didn't give or submit to you. That narcissist never, ever fully submitted to you. So, and why? Because they didn't trust you. So there's no love there. If they can't do that, there's no love there. So the narcissist never loved you. because they couldn't do that. They never loved you. So you never had that narcissist. Okay? You never had that narcissist. So you guys, it's like this. You have to move on in your life, and you have to let them go and say it was a bad experience. It's one experience of many experiences you will have in your life in the journey that your soul goes on. But it's a learning experience. To not trust too soon. You have to take your time with people. Trust is earned over a period of time. I've said that time and time again, right? So, don't mourn the loss of the narcissist because you never really had him. Okay? I hope that helps you. If it does, hit the subscribe button, share. If you're looking for one-on-one phone coaching, check out the link in the bio at askyaz.wixsite.com/thegameexposed. I have limited time slots because have so many projects going on right now. Facebook is the Game EXP 123. YouTube, where everything's laid out on YouTube, almost 7,000 videos you'll be able to find on my channel at the Game Exposed Podcast. TikTok is the Game Exposed, and Instagram, you guys, is the Game EXP 123. And have a great day.